Most High will use different things in different situations to try and get you to pay attention to what He's trying to show you. You can't be lukewarm. You gotta be on fire for the Most High. You gotta get on the narrow road because the broad way is always gonna lead you to destruction. Take heed to what the Most High is trying to show you. Take heed, cause you don't get no do-over. You don't get another life.
He got one foot out, one foot in. Don't want the narrow road, cause it's not spacious. You keep ignoring the Most High, that's why your life's rough. You keep ignoring the Most High, but when you have enough. He got one foot out, one foot in. Don't want the narrow road, cause it's not spacious. You keep ignoring the Most High, that's why your life's rough. You keep ignoring the Most High, but when you have enough.
He was raised up to think that lip service was enough. Keep that loud in his blunt and a 40 on tuck. He don't follow the Bible, but he know about the book. He knew folks who claim they were saints, but really were crooks. That's part of what influenced him to take the path that he took. No good examples of how a righteous life is supposed to look. He think as long as he attends church sometimes that it's enough. He don't know the awakening awaits if he don't wake up. Come on.
He got one foot out, one foot in. Don't want the narrow road, cause it's not spacious. You keep ignoring the Most High, that's why your life's rough. You keep ignoring the Most High, but when you have enough. He got one foot out, one foot in. Don't want the narrow road, cause it's not spacious. You keep ignoring the Most High, that's why your life's rough. You keep ignoring the Most High, but when you have enough.
He holler money over everything, that's his motto for life. All he know is to hustle, so he be out all night. Trying to flip something to get some, his outcome is income. Got it all figured out, he done developed the system. He thinks it's fail-proof and nothing can go wrong. That's far from the truth, cause without the Most High, he definitely destined. End up getting robbed one night while he was sitting in his car. Shot 2 times in the chest, just inches from his heart.
He
Man,
got one foot out, one foot in. Don't want the narrow road, cause it's not spacious. You keep ignoring the Most High, that's why your life's rough. You keep ignoring the Most High, but when you have enough. He got one foot out, one foot in. Don't want the narrow road, cause it's not spacious. You keep ignoring the Most High, that's why your life's rough. You keep ignoring the Most High, but when you have enough.
being that close to death made him draw closer to the church. Thinking that's gonna fix all his issues, but that ain't how it works. Yeah, he believe in God, but what's the point if he ain't got no work? Without obedience, he's lost. That's how it's designed to roll. Hard times got him plotting on how to make some change. Got his eyes on the deposits they make at the check exchange. He tell himself after he pull this out, then he gon' change. But that ain't how it went, so now he's serving 20 years and change.
He got one foot out, one foot in. Don't want the narrow road, cause it's not spacious. You keep ignoring the Most High, that's why your life's rough. You keep ignoring the Most High, but when you have enough. He got one foot out, one foot in. Don't want the narrow road, cause it's not spacious. You keep ignoring the Most High, that's why your life's rough. You keep ignoring the Most High, but when you have enough.
After so many years of doing things the wrong way, it took for the Most High to break me down to get me to understand that the way I was doing things wasn't the right way. That he only wants his worship and his praise one way, his way. Any other sacrifice won't be accepted. I'ma love you with my heart. I gotta love you with my soul. With all of my mind. Cause it's my sacrifice to you. Obedience is better than sacrifice. My obedience is my sacrifice. I'm striving to get it right. So many sleepless nights, my conscience wouldn't let me live a lie. Your Holy Spirit taught me truth and transformed my entire life. Won't indulge if it's questionable. Want my offering to be accepted. Don't wanna blaspheme your name. My actions should be reflection of you. Told me to be separate, so I don't care what the world. I use my talents to praise your name. Won't bury them like a squirrel do. I'ma love you with my heart. commandment, cause it encompasses all your commandments. Provision is balanced, your judgment just dominions established. Protect me with your laws, help me see my flaws, distinguish right from wrong. I was broken to pieces, your guidance, that's what made me whole. I'm trying to save a soul, make your goodness known. Share my testimony, through grace you kept me strong. Your mercy alone kept me holding on. Even if it was by a stream, you spared my life and I know it, and that's the reason I sing. I love you with my heart.
Shalom, family. One of the most important things is for us to be holy. Now, what does that mean? That means we have to separate ourselves from the world and build unity and community. Grab yourself a shirt that expresses that message, and let's not just talk about it, let's live it.
Ain't no free will, it's all predestinated. From every death to every child brought forth through copulation. From the spouse that you choose to your current occupation, you either receive mercy or Yahweh's indignation. I can recollect on times that I could have been dead, caught lacking, no strap, I had a knife instead. Played it cool, he wanted to kill me for how I used to move. Had to match his energy, portray that I was strapped too. But inside I'm praying to God, hoping he don't shoot. Till I'm whooping, telling him I know what he won't do. It ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. Salvation ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. Salvation ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. Yeah, many you call, but few get chosen. Matthew 22 and 14. My righteousness gonna exceed that of the Pharisees. Do what they. Shalom, family. Shalom.
Peace, family. Peace out.
So first, we want to start off as we always do by giving all praise, honor, glory to the Most High, whose name is Yahweh, and we do so by Shem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, and that just means in the name of his only begotten Son, who most around the world know as Jesus Christ. I'm your brother Hurt, and tonight's lesson is the book of Romans, breakdown, chapter 13. And this is another one of our Thursday night Bible studies that we usually do the chapter breakdowns on. If you join us each week, you're familiar. If not, this is what we do on every Thursday. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the future lessons that we have. And shalom, my brother Paraz, and shalom, Sister Wendy. And as the pinned comment says, thank you for helping us grow the kingdom of the Most High by liking, commenting, and sharing the video. Please subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on future lessons. All praise to the Most High. So I don't have much else, I think. If you want to say anything or announce anything, you can also.
No, nothing to add. All praises to the Most High first and foremost. Shalom to everyone that's tapped in. Just make sure you guys like the video. Make sure y'all share, subscribe if you haven't already. And I'm looking forward to another biblical breakdown, man. I don't have nothing else to add.
All praise to the Most High. And if you could go ahead and get your screen shared. And we're going to start with the first 5 verses.
It's the book of Romans, chapter 13 and verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake.
Khan, all praise to the Most High. So we're going to look at verse 1 first, and we're going to stick in these first 5 verses for a little while, y'all. But let's look at verse 1. It says, let every soul be subject. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. So first off, I want you to grab subject in the Greek. And I'll kind of explain why he's grabbing subject in the Greek. So when we look at this verse and we look at this chapter in general, this chapter is used a lot of the times by people to try and push the idea or the thought that we just need to do whatever the government tells us to do without question. So when they read this in your mind, when you see subject being subject unto, it means submission. Sometimes it does in the Bible, it means submission. In this case, that's not what it's speaking of. And if you could just read the first entry, because we're going to get right to the point of what this subjection actually means.
God, this is G5293, to arrange under, to subordinate. Subordinate.
Right, to be subordinate. So to arrange under or to be subordinate, that's what it's speaking of when it talks about us being subject unto the higher powers. So by default, we're subordinate under this government. Why? Because we live here, and there are certain laws you obey them just by default. Like even living in your house was built a certain way according to the standards and the statistics that they give us of how people are supposed to build your house. You can't go off and do it another way, because why? The government is going to give you fines. There may be jail time. There's consequences for not obeying the certain laws that they put in place. So by default, a lot of these laws, we follow them anyway, and we're subordinate to the government. So looking back at verse 1, we're going to read verse 1 and verse 2. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. So the Most High, even though there may be wicked rulers in place in different countries, in this country and other countries, the Most High essentially allowed them to be in these places. It says, whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. So we're going to look at a few scriptures, and we're going to look at verse 2 a little bit closer in a second. But first, I want to grab a couple of scriptures. All right, let's look at Daniel 2, verses 20 and 21.
It's the book of Romans, this is the book of Daniel, chapter 2, starting at verse 20. Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding.
Right. So he changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings and he sets up kings. So we understand that anybody that's in rulership is because the Most High allowed it. He set them up to rule, whether they're wicked or they're righteous. All right, let's look at Ephesians 6 and verse 1, because we're going to look at this word that we see in Ephesians 6 and 1 for obey. We're going to look at that in the Greek also.
So book of Ephesians chapter 6, verse 1. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right.
Now let's look at obey in the Greek, so we can compare the context we find here to the context we find in Romans 13 and see how it's different.
So this is G5219, hupak uo. It's a verb, and usage is to listen, to hearken. Of one on the knock at the door comes to listen who it is. The duty of a porter, to hearken to a command, to obey, be obedient to, submit to. Definition says to hear under as a subordinate, i.e., to listen attentively, by implication to heed or conform to a command or authority. Hearken, be obedient to, obey.
So there's a difference in what we see with this definition and this word, because this word basically is you being submissive to, you subjecting yourself to in submission. So you obey whatever they tell you to do. When a parent tells a child something, that child's supposed to listen, point blank, period. It's the same thing with us and the Most High. If the Most High says do it, we're supposed to do it. There shouldn't be any pushback. But this same type of, like what we see with Romans 13 and 1, it says to subject ourselves to these higher powers. It's not telling us to submit ourselves, because submitting ourselves would be submitting to whatever it is, even if it does go against the Most High's commandments. And that's not what the Most High is informing us or instructing us to do. When we read a book like Romans chapter 13, Paul isn't giving us the advice to be submissive to the government. So, Salaki, give me a second.
God, all praises to the Most High.
So, let's look back at Romans 13 and 2. Let's go back to that scripture. And if you could read it one more time.
It's the book of Romans chapter 13, getting at verse number 1. Let every soul be subject.
2 out.
Oh, verse 2. Verse number 2. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation.
So whoever resists this subordination, you're just causing trouble for yourself and condemning yourself. Let's look at damnation in the Greek.
So this is G2917, krima, and the usage says a decree, judgment, condemnation of wrong, the decision, whether severe or mild, which one passes on the faults of others in a forensic sense, the sentence of a judge, the punishment with which one is sentenced, condemnatory sentence, penal judgment, sentence, a matter to be judicially decided, a lawsuit, a case in court. And then the definition, it says a decision.
You got to read those.
Huh?
So like looking at these is just what I was saying. You're condemning yourselves, and we know when you condemn yourselves in this government we live in, or any other government on this planet, what happens? There becomes a matter, like we see in the last entry in the outline of biblical usage, a matter to be judicially decided, a lawsuit, a case in court. we don't want to end up in all types of legal trouble just because we say, well, I don't want to do it. Dang, God, they can't tell me what to do. I'm going to run this stop sign. I'm going to run through this red light. I'm going to steal out of the Target. Like, it don't matter because you say that, okay, you're going to base it around the laws of the Most High or something you don't feel like doing because they're telling you to do it. We can't do that because we're just basically making trouble for ourselves. Now, give me Acts 5, verses 17 through 23, because Peter, we're going to read some things about Peter. And if Romans 13 is saying what people try and make it say, that, we just got to listen to the government regardless, this is going to be a little funny when we read what happened with Peter. Because he said something similar to what Romans 13 said. Yes, 17 through 23.
17. Okay. This is the book of Acts chapter 5, beginning at verse number 17. Then the high priest rose up, and all they that were with him, which is the sect of the Sadducees, and were filled with indignation, and laid their hands on the apostles and put them in the common prison. But the angel of the Lord by night opened the prison doors and brought them forth and said, Go, stand and speak in the temple to the people all the words of this life. And when they heard that, they entered into the temple early in the morning and taught. But the high priest came, and they that were with him, and called the council together, and all the senate of the children of Israel, and sent to the prison to have them brought. But when the officers came and found them not in the prison, they returned and told, saying, The prison truly found we shut with all safety, and the keeper standing without before the doors. But when we had opened, we found no man within.
Peter and the apostles escaped from the prison after they were arrested. This is a direct order that was disobeyed. They were placed in these cells and they weren't supposed to go anywhere. But the angel came and spoke and told different to leave, that they were supposed to go out and speak certain words. And that's what they did. They obeyed that, and they obeyed God rather than who? Man. Let's look at verses 24 through 29.
Continuing on, it says, verse 24. Now when the high priest and the captain of the temple and the chief priests heard these things, they doubted of them whereunto this would grow. Then came one and told them, saying, Behold, the men whom ye put in prison are standing in the temple and teaching the people. Then went the captain with the officers and brought them without violence, for they feared the people, lest they should have been stoned. And when they had brought them, they sat them before the council, and the high priest asked them, saying, Did not we straitly command you that ye should not teach in this name? And behold, ye have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine, and intend to bring this man's blood upon us. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, We ought to obey God rather than men.
Right. So when we read something like Romans 13, it's not telling us that whatever the higher powers tell you to do, that's what you do. But when it's pursuant to lining up, when it lines up with what the Most High requires of us, yeah, we do those things. And when it's just something that can protect you and keep you from going to court and getting into all kind of legal troubles, yeah, you make sure you be obedient to that, because you don't want to condemn yourself and make more trouble for yourself. So, if you could, let's go to 1 Peter 2, verses 13 through 15, because we're going to look at Peter when he spoke in the same manner that we see in Romans 13 that Paul spoke in.
This is 1 Peter 2, beginning at verse 13. Submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, whether it be to the king as supreme, or unto governors as unto them that are sent by him for the punishment of evildoers, and for the praise of them that do well. For so is the will of God, that with well doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men.
So verse 15 helps us to understand it's not saying submit yourselves to every ordinance that they tell you to do, even if it goes against what the Most High tells you to do. Verse 15 says, for so is the will of God, that with well doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men. So at all times, we're trying to make sure we're not blaspheming the name of the Most High, that we're not setting a bad example, that we are shining as the light of the world. So we can't do that while we're in this captivity and we're breaking the laws of the land, and people see that, and they're not going to look at us and say we're holy people. They're going to say, hey man, these freaking criminals. And I just saw what you placed in the chat, and you can speak on that before we go forward.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when you look at the word for I think it was can't remember what word it was. Let me see. In Romans 13, the word for damnation right there, when you look in the Greek, it's the Greek word krima, as we went into, but in the definition, I'll just read it. It says a decision, the function or the effect for or against crime, avenge, condemned, condemnation, damnation, plus go to law, judgment. So when you look at that word for damnation right there, it's the Greek word krima, which is connected to the word crime, and it's ultimately how we get that particular word. But as you were speaking to, I think Paul, I think the context is laid out, and the nuances between, do you just blindly whatever leaders say, do you follow it, whether it be to go against God or whatever the case is, versus do what's gonna behoove you, so that you don't have to suffer for whatever crime that you're committing, quote unquote. I think it teaches a specific wisdom there. And then even in the point with Acts, I thought it was really interesting, because directly they're disobeying the leaders of the Jews, which would have encompassed the high priest and the other chief priests as well. And what's how things are supposed to be, we're supposed to be in subjection to those particular leaders, like our judges, the priests, and everything like that. They're literally the base of the people and our foundation and how we're supposed to move. But right in the account, you have the angel, which would ultimately be from God, telling them to go against, what these leaders told, have put in place for them. And so, it even gives that particular nuance, not to just subject yourself to like wicked leadership, so to speak. And you also see that in like wisdoms like that in Sirach, like not making yourself an underling to foolish and wicked men. So like I think the text it lays out a pretty good balance, so to speak. But I yield right there.
Con, and I'm about to provide an example for y'all. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with sovereign citizens and Moorish sovereign citizens, but I'm about to share some information with y'all. Then we're gonna look at something. Let me I'm gonna get my screen shared. So this is sovereign citizen. Can y'all see that?
Yeah, we can see it. Can you blow it up a little bit?
Come, I got you. How about now?
Yeah, that's good.
So it says the sovereign citizen movement, often abbreviated as SOV-CITS, is a loose, decentralized group of anti-government activists, conspiracy theorists, and financial scammers who believe they are not subject to government statutes or regulations unless they explicitly consent to them. Adherents claim to be separate or sovereign, from the United States, often regarding themselves as natural men or free people, not bound by modern laws. Core beliefs and ideology: anti-government. They hold that federal, state, and local governments are illegitimate products of a conspiracy that subverted the original lawful U.S. government. Pseudo-law. They operate on a pseudo-legal belief system, citing fabricated legal theories, misinterpreting common law, and using convoluted language to claim immunity from laws, taxes, and debts. Straw man theory. A core belief is that the government creates a corporate, fictitious entity, the straw man, for every citizen at birth, and they must take specific actions to separate their living, breathing self from this entity. Now, I'm going to tell y'all the truth. This is true, but ain't nothing we can do about it. This straw man theory, they do operate as a corporate entity. This United States of America is actually a corporation, the way that they built it. It wasn't, the United States of America wasn't an inclusion of a government. The government was the United States of America, and it was the corporation that was supposed to run and manage everyone else that would be looked at as like cattle on a farm. So it says traveling versus driving. They frequently refuse to have driver licenses, vehicle registrations, or insurance, claiming they are not driving a commercial activity, but rather traveling. I've seen this before. Moorish sector, a subset, often identifying as Moorish national or Moorish sovereign citizens, believes they are indigenous to North America and thus exempt from U.S. authority. So if y'all just think about this, who does this sound like? Who is actually indigenous to North America and exempt, or would think that they're exempt from U.S. authority? But of course, these are our people that actually have done some research to find out that they're indigenous, but they would identify as being Moorish. And being Moorish is something that came after we got scattered into these different lands and we were looking for an identity. And this is something we adopted, was Moorish signs. It says common tactics and crimes: paper terrorism. They are known for filing frivolous lawsuits, false liens, and legal documents like UCC-1 forms to harass or retaliate against public officials. Fraudulent documents. They often create their own unique driver licenses, passports, and license plates, e.g. Washita Nation or Kingdom of Heaven. Redemption schemes. They promote fraudulent methods to access the supposed bank accounts of their straw man to pay off debts or taxes. Illegal property acquisition. Some attempt to seize vacant homes through false deeds and sovereign citizen occupation. Risk to law enforcement and public. Domestic threat. The FBI classifies sovereign citizen extremists as a domestic terror threat, as their ideology can justify violence against government personnel and law enforcement. Violent encounters. While not all are violent, interactions with law enforcement can escalate quickly during routine traffic stops or arrests, with incidents resulting in fatal violence. Spread. The movement originated in the 1970s in the U.S., growing from posse comitatus and tax protesters, and has spread internationally, often finding new followers during times of economic or social crisis, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. Sovereign citizens' arguments have no basis in law and have never been successful in court, according to law enforcement and legal experts. Now I'm going to pull up this other one. And so this is Moorish sovereign. And so, like I explained before this that I just read, a Moorish sovereign is basically people of color or someone that identifies as being indigenous to America. It says, and I'm just going to read a little bit of this because most of this we already covered. It says Moorish sovereign citizens are loosely affiliated, mostly black anti-government extremist movement in the U.S., believing they are exempt from federal and state laws, taxes, and regulations. Originating in the 1990s as an offshoot of the sovereign citizen movement, they claim, based on distorted interpretations of the Moorish Science Temple of America and the 1786 treaty, to be indigenous Moorish nationals with sovereign immunity. Sovereignty, core beliefs and tactics. Sovereignty claims they view themselves as sovereign and independent of the U.S. government, often asserting they are citizens of a separate Moorish nation or the Washita nation. Legal ideologies. Adherents often believe in a nation within a nation concept and claim that American laws, taxes, and licensing requirements do not apply to them. Paper terrorism. They engage in filing fraudulent and illegal documents such as bogus liens against public officials, property deeds, and sovereign legal documents to intimidate law enforcement and courts. Incidents often include squatting in vacant homes, claiming land ownership through fraudulent documents, driving without license, and occasional violent standoffs with police. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, and I think that's enough. They had a little more, but we'll keep going. So I'm gonna show y'all some examples of what these people do, y'all. It's gonna blow your mind. So I'm gonna let this white man talk real quick for a second about a sovereign citizen.
So you think that you're a sovereign citizen, huh? Let's talk about it.
Yes.
So you think that you're a sovereign citizen, huh? Let's talk about it. Sovereign citizens are individuals who believe that they are not subject to certain laws and regulations of the United States government. Many believe in a combination of loopholes and conspiracy theories and other legal principles that mean that they are outside the jurisdiction of the government. They reject governmental authority and use pseudo-legal arguments in order to support themselves in the position that they may not be prosecuted or held under the laws of the United States. Interestingly enough, this issue of sovereign citizens has been litigated at both the district and the circuit level in the United States. In fact, recently, the Seventh Circuit, that sits over many states in the United States, ruled that these claims of an individual that they were a sovereign citizen were not valid and did not allow that person to avoid prosecution. So you think that you're...
Yeah, so that's just in a nutshell. That's what's going on. It's people that actually do this in so-called America, right? Let's look at some examples.
It's gonna be a huge lawsuit, bub. I just filed a complaint against one of your sheriffs the other day, so this is retaliation. I need to speak to my attorney. Hey, buddy, you hear me?
I hear you. We can't do anything about that right now, can we?
Yeah, I need to speak to my attorney. That's an immediate right now.
Right. As soon as we can get you out of here, okay? I can't do anything about it while we're sitting right here.
No power, but these are like certain things that they'll try to make it seem as if it's a must that it happens. Let's play this next one. Let's see.
15-7, 41 with me. Ma'am, step out the vehicle. Step out the vehicle.
Am I
Yeah, you are being detained right now. Step out the vehicle, young lady.
I know my rights.
Either you step out the vehicle, I will remove you from the vehicle.
I know my rights.
15-7, sovereign citizen.
Because you don't need to call you. Are you an adult?
Yes.
Then why do you need to call your mother?
To come and get me from jail since I'm being illegally detained.
You will be able to call her once you get there.
Can I at least lock my car?
We will make sure it is secure.
So they believe they got more rights than they actually got. And here's an example of the paperwork that they make up.
This is what we get for the Moors. This is a court order from the said judge, county court of the said court. We get the Moors listed on the record as a grantee of their estates, meaning that the state was granted to the free national name. And this is an example of an affidavit of nationality proclamation / name change certification. And this is given to the county court. And you can use this as full favor credit in any state. It has the legal name, the new name, nationality, state of citizenship, citizenship status, national membership, and religious tax exemption, all included in one affidavit that you proclaim to the European nations of the United States. And it comes in due form of law. And then what they give us is a court order without you even having to go to court, because the Grand Sheik is empowered to make law and enforce law with the citizens of the Prophet and the grand body of the Moorish Science Temple of the.
This the type of delusion they be under, thinking that this stuff can keep them from having to be subject to the laws of America.
Do you know you got the right to bear arms? Do you know that every crime has to have a victim in it? Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Too many people going to jail for victimless crimes. You understand what I'm saying? It's time to educate yourself on your constitutional secure rights. You understand? You got a right to bear arms. You don't have to have a FOIA card. You have the right to protect yourself at all costs. You feel me? Peace and love.
Yeah.
You know you got the right.
Yeah, just go be a felon and just get a gun and watch what happens in America. But yeah, these just examples, y'all, of what they're trying to do to stand there a sovereign citizen. Pay close attention to this brother in court and what he believes is going to happen in this court case.
Any fees must be paid immediately after my case is finished. Failure to pay fines and fees result in an additional fee of $5,000 for breach of contract. Demand for appearance in court. My appearance on the protest and duress per hour, 1 hour minimum, $75,000.
And y'all, this him saying they got to pay him this.
Use of trade name material.
How many more pages do you have?
I have quite a few.
Okay, so I'm wondering if, and I'm not going to curtail you too much, but you'll be able to file that, which will make it even more of a record if you want it to be filed, or you could give it to me and I'll file it for you. But that's up to you. What I don't want to do is I want to make sure we're moving your case forward, and this is pretty lengthy.
Yeah, just delusion. That's all this is, delusion. But you got anything you want to say about this?
Yeah, I put in the chat, like this type of stuff can sound right to the wrong person, unfortunately. And it was like the dude that had the gun in his hand, he was like, did you know that it's only a crime if there's a victim?
Right.
And that can sound somewhat sensible to like a person that's a bit gullible, and so man,
that's right.
Like they'll go ahead and get themselves into something, and now they, thinking that it wasn't no victim. They, like now they got to sit down for a little bit. Like it's
right.
That type of thing is, is dangerous. Like misinformation is something that's extremely dangerous. But I don't got nothing else to add.
So let's go back and look at Romans 13, y'all. So we're gonna read verse 1 through 3 again, because now looking at examples of what it's speaking of, we see plain and clearly we don't want to do like these sovereign citizens or these Moorish sovereigns call themselves doing, when we just believe that I'm not subject to your laws. I can do whatever I want to do. We're gonna end up in trouble. It says, and let's read it in the NLT. Let's read it in the NLT.
Those 3 verses?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is Romans chapter 13, beginning at verse 1. Everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. So anyone who rebels against authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and they will be punished. For the authorities do not strike fear in people who are doing right, but in those who are doing wrong. Would you like to live without fear of the authorities? Do what is right, and they will honor you.
Right. So we don't want to be like, I think about my life that I used to live and the life I live now. I used to hear police sirens, and oh man, I used to get nervous. I don't have that same fear when I hear police sirens. I don't care if I see a policeman. If I'm riding and I see a policeman, it don't bother me as much. Now, at the same time, you know, I still know it's crooked cops out there that just may be racist and just want to jam you up just because of your color. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's not the same type of fear. I don't even think it's a fear. It's just more being more on point and more aware when dealing with these wicked people. But yeah, it's a difference. So it says in verse 3, for the authorities do not strike fear in people who are doing right, but in those who are doing wrong. Would you like to live without fear of the authorities? Do what is right, and they will honor you. It's plain and simple. Not trying to find a way out and say, well, I'm a sovereign national, or I'm a more sovereign. So let's look back at 2 Corinthians 11, because we're gonna look at some things dealing with Paul, because people are trying to make it seem like in Romans 13 that Paul is saying just be subject to the government, do whatever they tell you to do, no matter what. Let's see if he take his own advice. 2 Corinthians 11, 32, verse 32 and verse 33. Right, blind leading the blind, and Brother Aaron, you reading on mute.
2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 32. In Damascus, the governor under Aretas, the king, kept the city of the Damascenes with a garrison, desirous to apprehend me. And through a window in a basket was I let down by the wall, and escaped his hands.
He just escaped from the governor of Damascus. What did he tell us to do in Romans 13? Did he tell us to be obedient or subject to the government? And does that mean that we're supposed to just do everything the government says to? No, it's not possible. It's not possible at all, because he's not even following that. Let's look at this account where he actually escaped down the wall, like he says in Acts 9, 20 through 25.
This is the book of Acts chapter 9, beginning at verse number 20. And straightway he preached Christ in the synagogues, that he is the Son of God. But all that heard him were amazed, and said, is not this he that destroyed them which called on his name in Jerusalem, and came hither for that intent, that he might bring them bound unto the chief priests? But Saul increased the more in strength, and confounded the Jews which dwelt at Damascus, proving that this is very Christ. And after that many days were fulfilled, the Jews took counsel to kill him. But their laying await was known of Saul, and they watched the gates day and night to kill him. Then the disciples took him by night and let him down by the wall in a basket.
So he was doing something that they were not pleased with. He was preaching about the Messiah. And so when they decided that, hey, we're going to kill this man for what he's doing, for what he's saying, he said, hey, I'm going to escape. I'm not going to sit here and allow them to take me, even though they are in authority, even though they are the higher powers. I'm not listening to them right now. Let me get away. So this is Paul speaking in Romans 13, and then we see what Paul did in the Acts of the Apostles in Acts chapter 9. So by default, he can't be telling us to just be obedient to anything the government tells us to do. Let's go to James 4:4. He was a righteous criminal.
So look at James chapter 4, verse 4. Ye adulterers and adulteress, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God.
Anything that doesn't line up with obedience to the Most High is friendship of the world, and it's idolatry. So if there is something, the law that the government that we are under, that we're subordinate under, does, or they may pass a law on it, it's not to say that it's a law that we're supposed to follow if it goes against the Most High, because then by default we are friends with the world and we are indulging in idolatry because we allow this government to become our God, our dictator, or our ruler. Let's look at 2 Maccabees 6 verses 18 through 31. And I'm gonna give you a second to get that I know. Let's get in the NLT too.
You said 2 Maccabees?
Let
me see. That's only showing the GNT.
I'll pull it up on my side. Hey, it ain't showing on here either. I know I pulled it up in my phone. That's weird. I guess we're using GNT out. Let me see if I can pull it up on my phone though. How are you doing that?
Copy. And you want me to start with from what verse?
Start with verse 18 and read through 31.
Copy. Blow this up. This is the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 6, beginning at verse 18. There was an elderly and highly respected teacher of the law by the name of Eleazar, whose mouth was being forced open to make him eat pork. But he preferred an honorable death rather than a life of disgrace. So he spit out the meat and went willingly to the place of torture, showing how people should have courage to refuse unclean food, even if it cost them their lives. Those in charge of the sacrifice had been friends of Eleazar for a long time, and because of this friendship, they told him privately to bring meat that was lawful for him to eat. He need only pretend to eat the pork, they said, and in this way he would not be put to death. But Eleazar made a decision worthy of his gray hair and advanced age. All his life, he had lived in perfect obedience to God's holy laws. So he replied, "Kill me here and now. Such deception is not worthy. Such deception is not worthy of a man of many years. Of my years. Many young people would think that I had denied my faith after I was 90 years old. If I pretended to eat this meat just to live a little while longer, it would bring shame and disgrace on me and lead many young people astray. For the present, I might be able to escape what you could do to me, but whether I live or die, I cannot escape Almighty God. If I die bravely now, it will show that I deserved my long life. It will also set a good example of the way young people should be willing and glad to die for our sacred and respected laws." As soon as he said these things, he went off to be tortured, and the very people who had treated him kindly a few minutes before now turned against him because they thought he had spoken like a madman. When they had beaten him almost to the point of death, he groaned and said, "The Lord possesses all holy knowledge. He knows I could have escaped these terrible sufferings and death, yet he also knows that I gladly suffer these things because I fear him." So Eleazar died, but this courageous death was remembered as a glorious example, not only by young people, but by the entire nation as well.
All praises. This definitely a testimony of true faith and somebody that really wanted to please the Most High, regardless of what else was, to transpire in their life. We see in verse 21 and 22, it says, "Those in charge of the sacrifice had been friends of Eleazar for a long time, and because of this friendship, they told him privately to bring meat that was lawful for him to eat. He need only pretend to eat the pork. They said, and in this way, he would not be put to death. It says, but Eleazar made a decision worthy of his gray hair and advanced age. All his life, he had lived in perfect obedience to God's holy law. So he replied, kill me here and now. Such deception is not worthy of a man of my years. Many young people would think that I had denied my faith after I was 90 years old. If I pretended to eat this meat just to live a little while longer, it would bring shame and disgrace on me and lead many young people astray. So what was important to him was blaspheming the name of the Most High. He didn't want to do that. And we see what he did. He said, you know what? Hey, I'm not going to pretend to eat pork. I'm just not going to eat pork. Bring me some clean meat. And this went against the laws of that government. They were telling him that he had to eat this sacrifice, this pork. And he just decided not to. Ak, if you want to add something to that, you can.
No, nothing that
T2. I don't know why I got confused on that, on which translation. I think because I used it in the NLT earlier.
no, makes sense. Nothing to add, King.
Khan, all praise. So let's look at Deuteronomy 18. Let's look at verses 9 through 13.
So book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18, beginning at verse number 9. When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee. Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God.
Right. So when you look at the government may allow you to do a lot of these things that are spoken about. It says, there should not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch. You can actually practice divination by law. You can set up a business as a diviner here in America. They don't see anything wrong with that. There are people that openly walk around as witches and warlocks, and that's not deemed wicked by this government because it's not punished. It's not punishable. But when you look at the laws of the Most High, witches were put to death. They couldn't walk around. So it's certain things that the law may promote or permit that because they promote it or permit it, we're not supposed to subject ourselves to those laws. We subject ourselves to these laws that they have that go hand in hand with what the Most High requires of us. So that subordination and that submission, they're two completely different things. If you got anything you want to add before I go forward, you can. I'm gonna read these comments. Brother Parag said, our faith is revolutionary to the powers that be. We just don't put ourselves in stupid positions, right? And he placed Esther 13:4 in the comments. Told me that there was a people scattered through the whole world which used new laws and acted against the customs of all nations, despised the commandments of kings, and violated by their opposition the concord of all nations. God, all praises, all praises. And Sister Wendy said they turned on him super quick. Right, his friends that was supposed to be ride or die with him, like, man, come on, just eat the pork, man. Or you could just act like you're eating the pork, man. Like no faith at all, just cowards. But yeah, if you want to add anything.
Nah, man, nothing to add, man. All praises to the Most High for the lesson thus far.
Khan, all praises. So let's continue reading in Romans 13. And let's read just verse 6 and 7.
God, no, this is the book of Romans chapter 13, beginning at verse number 6. It says, let me share the screen. It says, for this cause pay ye tribute also, for they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. Render therefore to all their duties tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor.
You can go to jail for taxes, tax evasion. Yeah, probably not for a couple $100, but like tax evasion, just say, hey, you know what? I'm a sovereign citizen. I'm not paying no taxes in Babylon. You can go to jail for taxes. So it says, for this cause pay ye tribute also, for they are God's ministers attending continually upon this very thing. This goes right back with what we mentioned earlier, that we don't want to condemn ourselves by just saying, I'm not going to do that. And then it comes that we have to end up in a legal battle because of said thing, or we end up with jail time. Give me Matthew 22, verses 19 through 22.
It's the book of Matthew. Book of Matthew chapter 22, beginning at verse number 19. It says, show me the tribute money. And they brought unto him a penny. And he saith unto them, whose is this image and superscription? They say unto him, Caesar's. Then saith he unto them, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. When they had heard these words, they marveled and left him and went their way.
Give Caesar's what's his. The Most High ain't dealing with, the paper dollar of America. He don't care about these things, but we're using these forms of payment, and this is what they set up in their system. So we have to abide by that until the Most High sets up his kingdom, sets up his government. Let's continue reading in Romans 13. Let's just read verses 8 through 10.
It's Romans 13, beginning at verse number 8. Owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. For this, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law.
All praises. Owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. Let's look at Leviticus 19 and 18.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 19 and verse number 18. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord.
So if we're not going to avenge or bear any grudge against the children of our people, we'll be showing that we love each other. We love our brothers. We love our sisters. And if we love our neighbor as ourselves, then we're going to correct them. We're going to help them up when they're down, whatever the case may be. And when we look back at verse 8, it says, owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. When we do these things, this prompts you to do these other things, and it also keeps that leaven out of you, out of your heart. When you look at verse 9 in Romans 13, it says, for this, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. When we love our brothers and sisters like we love ourselves, we're not going to do these things. These are all so many other commandments that are connected to just loving your brother and your sister. So doing this helps us to fulfill the law. Give me Matthew 5, 23 and 24.
It's It's the book of Matthew, chapter 5, beginning at verse number 23. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath all against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift.
This is how serious the Most High views our love for our brothers and sisters. That the Messiah, which we know the words he speak, they aren't his words. They're the words of the Most High. The Most High views this so serious that you can't even come and pray to the Most High if you got something against your brother or your sister when you come to the altar. You can't even give him a sacrifice of praise. Anything you think that you doing and saying, I'm doing this for God, or I'm doing this in the name of his son. If you still got something, some type of evil in your heart, or an evil eye toward your brother in some way, shape, or form, and you haven't circumcised your heart, the Most High not dealing with your offering. He don't want it. When we see it says, leave there thy gift before the altar and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother and then come and offer thy gift. This means like, hey, you got to go and get that right in order to even bring prayer to the Most High, because he don't want to hear it when you're not in right standings with him, when you have the capabilities and you also understand you're not ignorant, you know what you're supposed to do, and then you forsake it and you do whatever else. And I'm going to read this scripture that Brother Paraz placed in the chat. Leviticus 26:40-42 says, we have to accept our punishment for our iniquities. These nations' rule is one of those punishments. We ought to wait on Yahweh in faith and try not to force the river. Khan, all praises, all praises. Aaron, you want to add anything?
No, nothing to add, King.
Khan, all praises. So let's finish out the chapter. Let's read verses 11-14.
It's the book of Romans, chapter 13, beginning at verse 11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envying, but put ye on the Lord Jesus Christ, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof.
Khan, all praises. And when you look at verses 8-14, all of those that we just got through reading, it helps to sum up what was being said in the beginning of the chapter, because it all boils back down to us making sure we're in right standing with the Most High, not forsaking the leadership that he may have placed in position. Because when you think about how we all were at some point in time, we were living wickedly, right? We were doing some things, and 9 times out of 10, you were breaking the laws of the most high, and you were breaking the laws of the government, and it went hand in hand. So a lot of the times our brothers and sisters end up behind bars, or they end up dead. It's because of breaking the laws of the Most High, but also breaking the laws of the government, because the Most High has placed them to be our chastisement. So all praise, honor, glory to the Most High. I don't have anything else. You want to add anything? You can.
No, nothing to add, King. All praises to the Most High for the lesson. Beautifully brought forth. So, hopefully everybody was able to receive it. All praises.
Khan, all praises, all praise to the Most High. If y'all got anything, y'all can place it in the chat. If not, we'll end up closing it out. I'll give y'all a second just to make sure nobody had anything.
Shalom, family. One of the most important things is for us to be holy. Now, what does that mean? That means we have to separate ourselves from the world and build unity and community. Grab yourself a shirt that expresses that message, and let's not just talk about it, let's live it.
Khan, all praise to the Most High. I don't have anything else. If you have anything, you can go ahead. If not, just close us on that.
All praise to the Most High. I don't got anything else, man. We'll close it out with number 6 and 24 on down. It says, Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. And with that, I'll say peace and shalom.
Shalom, Mark. Shalom, fam.
I'm trying to get to New Jerusalem. Hey, Hurt. What we doing? Yo, one time for the fight. We got our hands in the air and we dancing like we Dave. The wins after that loss, a different celebration. You see that smile on my face, the devil hate. It was the word, it was the way. That John 1 if you relate. Know some get that misconstrued. Why hast thou called this me great? So I'm with you when you're right. There's only one in this case. And I pay my bond with blood money. Made me from the dirt. I got mud on me.
So salvation, I'ma fight for. The Most High live my life for. Not of this world and of the life for. I'm different, I don't keep up with trends. Just follow the example of some ancient men. Controlling the things that come from within. Cause evil thoughts come from the hearts of men. I'm being perfect cause I don't practice sin. Don't take it for granted, no pride don't reel me in. I call on Abba and he give me strength. Like Abraham, I'm trying to be his friend. Self-examination keep me humble. With no correction and no direction, homie. In Babylon, they drunk, I'm staying sober. Blessed by the best, don't need a 4-leaf clover. Serpents are crafty, watch out for them cobras. Worship the spirit and truth, we don't want motives. No weak men, Yahweh won't soldiers. To run this race, you need a good motor. Hamashiach, he paid the price for it. So salvation, I'ma fight for. The Most High, live my life for. Not of this world and of the life form. Gotta be on fire, you can't be lukewarm. Gotta keep it playing when you go through them storms. The toughest battles for the chosen one. Rebuke your neighbor cause that's showing love. I thought you repented, why you in the club? A legion of demons ain't sparing none. Gotta use discernment, move with wisdom. Understanding is like your income. Can't live without it, gotta get some. It's your defense from Satan and his minions. The wicked getting left here in Babylon. I'm getting redeemed like a coupon. Hamashiach, he paid the price for. Hamashiach, he paid the price for. Hamashiach, he paid the price for. You want salvation, gotta fight for. Hamashiach, he paid the price for. So salvation, I'ma fight for. The Most High, live my life for. Not of this world, another life form. Hamashiach, he paid the price for. So salvation, I'ma fight for. The Most High, live my life for. Not of this world, another life form.